Hey folks, how's it going? So I wanted to take a moment to show you one of the projects that I've been working on for the past week or two. I've got a lot of projects in the works. This one I just finished this morning. I wanted a new compost bin system. Behind me you can see another one of the projects that I'm working on. Still in the works, it's still to be finished. Had a lot of rain here lately, so that's put a halt on that one. But up until now, I've been using like a 30-gallon trash can as an improvised compost bin. And it's done okay for small amounts of compost. And I'm talking about very small. Enough to fill a couple of flower pots and maybe supplement a raised bed every now and then. But to the scale that I need for that garden there, and just for all the raised beds that I've put in and other things that I want to do, I need compost on a larger scale. So my original thought was to do like a lot of homesteaders have done, and that's to find some free pallets and build a 3-bin compost system out of pallets, free pallets. And I went around, I started looking at places on Facebook Marketplace. I've started looking at companies that I've been to, and they're no longer giving away free pallets, believe it or not, at least not in my area. The majority of places where we used to be able to get free pallets here, they're now charging $2, $3, and even $5 a pallet. The company I used to work for, I used to get a lot of pallets from them. I brought in a lot of salvaged wood from them. I went there, and while they're not charging for pallets, they're also not leaving them where people can get them. They've got a new dumpster system where they just throw them in and it's not accessible anymore. So seeing as how the free pallet system wasn't going to work for me, I had to rethink my ideas. Now, anybody that's watched my channel for a while, you know that over a year ago I brought in some very large pallets that I salvaged from my previous job. They consisted of anywhere from 3x5s, 3x4s, 4x4s, 2x8s, 2x4s. You know, there was all different sizes because larger machinery came in on it. Some of them were even topped with 1/2-inch plywood. And I brought in a lot of that and I salvaged it, and I've still got a bunch of it laying around. A lot of it I used in building my blacksmith shop. So rather than go to the store and buy lumber, I decided to dig into that. And some of those pieces were large enough that I could have, if I wanted to take the time, I could have put them on a saw table and ripped them down. And I could have gotten more out of them than what I did, but I was trying to get this project going because I've got so many other things going, and I really didn't want to take the time to try to rip everything down. So I used them as is, and that's what I'm fixing to show you here. So let me flip this camera around and show you what I've built. Okay, so this is my compost bin system that I built. I originally intended to do 3 bins, but I left it open so I can build a 3rd bin on the end. 2 will get me started for right now. And as you can see, I've already started filling it up. But essentially what it is, I took some of the large runners from the pallets that I brought in and salvaged. That would be these right here, and all of those along the back. This is really overbuilt for what its purpose is. As you can see, this thing is pretty solid. You've got these 2x5s, 2x4, 2x5s, actually rough cut 2x5s on the back, and as the posts. For the sides, you've got these 2x6s, 2x8s. I'm not sure, I don't remember offhand exactly what the measurement was on those. And basically I just cut them down and I slapped them together. It's really simple. This thing is heavy though. It's not like a pallet bin system where the slats are really thin. This thing will last, hopefully for a long time. It definitely won't be blowing around anywhere. But anyway, that's all I did was I just took the 4x4 posts, use them for the back corners. I use the 2x5s, I guess you could say. They're a little off from standard measurements. Most of these pallets came from Germany, but they're roughly 2x5s or so. I use them as the back. On the bottom, I left them pretty close together just to keep from any material from spilling through. But then higher up, I kind of spaced it out for two reasons. One is because it was taking me forever to nail these things together, and I was quickly running low on that size post. So spreading them out would reduce the number of posts I would have to put together. And second, it would allow a little bit more airflow through. For the sides, I used some of the 2x5s cut in half, because these are like 4 foot tall. The boards were like 8 foot long. So I just cut them in half and had plenty for that. These were roughly 7.5 to 8 feet long. They varied a little bit, so I just cut them at about 4 foot. And I left gaps in all of these, again, to spread out the material so I wouldn't use as much material as it would have taken to close up all these gaps, but to allow airflow. And again, I originally intended to build 3 bins, but I have plenty of room here to add that 3rd bin later on. And this allows me to get started right away, which I obviously have. Now, I started this pile this morning. This may not look like much so far. It's about 2 foot deep. I started with some half-rotten sticks that I gathered from the back of my property, way down there behind my blacksmith shop. I put a good layer of that down. That creates air pockets, so there's going to be air underneath. On top of that, I spread a little bit of that pile right there, which is some of those wood chips that I got from my dad's. Those wood chips were sitting in his yard for 2 years and half composted as they were. So I put in a thin layer of that, and then I took a bunch of table scraps and kitchen scraps from the house that I'd been saving up for a little over a week. You know, things like lettuce, leftover salad, old bananas. I sliced them up really thin. Banana peelings, anything like that. Potato peelings when I was peeling up potatoes. And I saved all that up, so I put down a really thin layer of that. There wasn't as much as I would have liked. So to supplement that, in my yard, the henbit and clover is starting to grow really, really fast now. And I found a couple of patches of that were really tall, plus what was around those raised beds over there. And I used my weed eater to trim all that down and get a nice, I think, a wheelbarrow full of clippings from that to add to the kitchen scraps, and I put a good layer down on top of that. Then I added some more leaves. Then I added some more wood chips. Then I added some more leaves. And with each layer, I sprayed it down with a water hose so that it would make sure everything was nice and damp, not too wet, but nice and damp. And hopefully all that green will kick in the composting process and start building heat up in there. Now I'm gonna let this sit for about 3 or 4 days. This is Sunday. I have a 4.5 day work schedule coming up. So Friday afternoon when I come home, I'll come out here and I'll turn this pile. So what I'm going to do is, rather than just in this one bin, just turn it and mix it up, I'm probably going to shift it to this other side. That'll allow me to get what's on top reversed and put it on the bottom. And everything that's on the bottom here will be on top over here. So it'll be one shovelful or one forkful at a time. I'm going to transfer it from this side to this side. That'll make sure it's thoroughly mixed up and I won't be missing anything. And when I'm done with that, I'm probably going to rake up some more of the leaves that are in my backyard. I've got plenty to choose from, a good supply of them, and after I get the pile moved over there, I'll start a second one here, and then we'll just get it working again. And then hopefully it won't be next weekend, but it'll probably be the weekend after that. I'll try to add in that third bin, but I got time to work on that. And since it's warming up, the clover, the wild onion, the henbit, and even some of my grass is starting to grow now. It won't be long before I can start adding lawnmower clippings, grass clippings to this pile. And for that, I just want to note that grass clippings, it's easy to add a lot of that, because especially during the spring and summer, you're going to have a lot of clippings. The problem is with those, as fine as they get chopped up by the lawnmower, if you're not careful, it can turn into a really wet, mushy, anaerobic mess. And that's not what you want for a compost. So when you add it to a compost pile like this, what you want to do is you want to add them, you don't want to pile them up really thick. You want to add them in thin layers so that it'll add the heat, it'll add all that green to your compost. It'll build up the heat and start composting really well, but it won't be so thick that it'll create that mushy, gooey mess that stinks really bad. And that's just not what you want for a compost pile. Anyway, that is my new compost bin system. And again, in a couple of weeks, I'll add that third bin down there. I still got to clear some, as you can see, some of that privet. I hate that stuff so bad. It's a real pain. I've got to clear that out, and then I've got to build that third bin, but I've got time for that. This was the priority. I needed to get this compost bin done because I still have to work on the fence for my garden. I've got to do some more with my raised beds over here. As you can see, there's a tree that I cut down, one of those Callery or Bradford pears. I've just got a lot going on, plus the amount of work that I've got to do with my job and at my second job. So this was really, rather than going ahead and trying to do the 3-bin system now, I wanted to go ahead and get 2 in so I could at least get it started and get compost going. Because it's going to take a lot of compost for that garden site right there. Excuse that mess right there, because that's just where I've been doing some cleanup, piled old fencing that's not any good anymore. So I've got to clean all that up. But yeah, that's the project. That's one of several projects that I've been working on. Overbuilt for sure, very sturdy, very heavy. So hopefully this will last me several years before I have to tear it down and replace it. All right, that's all I got for right now. I just wanted to show that to you. I appreciate you guys watching. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't. And as always, folks, stay safe, take care, keep prepping. And until next time, I'll catch you later.